Welcome to my first episode of Love the Byte series. My name is Samuel Kamochu, telecoms and a software engineer for the last 13 years. I'm also the co-founder and the lead pacesetter at Meliora Technologies. My objective is to help you answer two simple questions. What is digital? And what does it really mean in the context of software engineering? So my lazy interpretation of the word digital is it involves digits. But we cannot talk about digits without talking about numbers. So let's take a number like 356. We know that the symbols 3, 5, and 6 are what we call the digits. And they form part of the number represented in decimal format or base 10. So in case you're wondering what base 10 and decimal format is, it's what you have used since you started your formal education. So if you ever counted anything, that numbering system is what we call decimal. And because of that, I can now move to the first important truth. And the truth is, in digital communication, data must be represented in numbers. And that's why we are talking about digital format. But we cannot talk about digital communication without talking about computers. And when I talk about computers, they sit at the heart of digital communication. And these computers include things like your desktop computer, your laptop, your phone, even your wearable, or even that IoT device that is connected, or that smart meter that you have. All these things are computers. Now that you know that, let me move on to the second important truth. And the truth is, computers are digital devices. Yes, they do deal with numbers, and they only process and store or send data represented as numbers, or rather in digital format. And these numbers must be in what we call binary format. I know we've talked about decimal format, but now we've brought in binary format. To keep this presentation simple, I'll not talk about binary numbers. We will discuss it in a later episode. But what does this exactly mean? So if you want to send a text from your phone to another person's phone, or even an audio message, or image, or even a video, the first step is that the computer must transform that data into digital format, or rather a series of numbers. And that process of converting an original message to the digital format is what we call encoding, or sometimes we just say coding. Now, in the event you receive a message from a friend, that message comes in digital format. If you need to translate back to either an audio message or a text message, you must do the reverse. And that is what we call decoding. So encoding is the process of converting original message to digital, and decoding is the process of converting those numbers back to the original message. And everything, text, audio, image, or video, they are all represented as numbers in the computer. So allow me to illustrate this with two devices, host A and host B. And host A wants to send a message, text message, hello, to host B. For host A to send that message, first we need to convert these characters into numbers. So we need to apply a character encoding system that will help us convert each letter into a numeric value. And in this case, we're going to use the American Standard Code for Information Exchange, which was created sometimes back to help computers exchange information seamlessly. We call it ASCII. And the idea is that H is 72, O is 111. And those numbers represented there, they represent each of the characters. So when we look at the coded message, it's 72, 101, 108, 108, 111, which is essentially each character represented as a number. Once this message has been represented in digital format, it is sent over the physical medium in form of either electrical signals when you're talking about wires and voltages, or light pulses when you're talking about fiber optic cables, radio waves when you're talking about Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or even GSM for mobile communication. All these things are all digital communication technologies, and they send data in this format. So let me wrap this up with an illustration. So if you have host A, the user is typing in a message, hello, using their keypad. The first thing that happens is the message has to be converted into digital format. That happens within the sending computer, and that process is called encoding. So we use the ASCII code to translate each letter into numbers or into the equivalent number. So once that is done, the data is transmitted in numerical format or digital format, and it is received on host B as numbers again. But before we display these message to the user, something has to happen. The numbers have to be converted back into the original text. And that's the process we are calling decoding. And once we decode, we will get the original text that was sent by host A. And in that case, we must use the same code that was used in encoding to decode the message that is received on host B. And that marks the end of today's or these episodes content. But I know some of you might be wondering, why is this important? It is very important when you're dealing with issues or communication challenges, you're troubleshooting in digital communication. This information will come in very handy. And it has been relevant to me as a telecoms and a software engineer. And if you want to build a career in that space, then this is going to be very critical. If this sounds interesting to you, or you think it might interest someone else, please share. And also feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much, and see you again in the next episode.